Hey guys, I thought we could take a look at the Nintendo Switch interface today. There's quite a few videos on this, but I thought we could go through it quite thoroughly. So, the Nintendo Switch seems to opt for quite a simple scheme really, very similar to the PlayStation 4 if you have one of those. It has like a ribbon, and there's so many games that can fit along this ribbon, and then eventually the ribbon will end at the end here. So, that's pretty much it. You press A to launch a game. When you launch a game, if there's an update, it will automatically ask you to update. You can update, and you can start the game without updating, much like you can on the PS4. Down here we have some more icons, and up top we have another icon. On the top right you'll see we've got the battery icon with a percentage, which isn't turned on by default, but I'll show you how to do that in a moment. We've got the Wi-Fi signal, when we've got the time as well. So on the left, if you click on my page, essentially, which is my page, you'll be greeted with a profile. You can see my friend code, so if you want, you can add me if you like. Down here we've got what games I've recently played, which you can see are all the games that you've seen on my home screen. Down here we've got friends list. Currently I have no friends, so if you want to add me as a friend, then please do, because it would be nice to have someone in there. We've got friend suggestions, and this is something if you link your Facebook to, you can link like Mario Run. If you play like some of the smartphone games, you can link that on there. Your Facebook, your Twitter, you can even link your 3DS friends, and of course your Wii U friends. Down here we've got add a friend. We've got receive friend requests, search for local users, search for users played with, so you can actually add friends via an online match. You can search with a friend code as usual, and you've got sent friend requests if you've sent one. And then in user settings we've got profile settings. We can choose a nickname, we can edit our icon, and in here you can see that we can edit our character me icon, which is basically your profile picture, and there's plenty of profile pictures that they offer, but obviously if you're using me it's a little bit more of a personalised touch. But here you can see they've got plenty of these on offer. I haven't found a way to actually download more of these yet, but hopefully they will add that at some point in time, much like the PlayStation. It's very similar when it comes to the profile. Down here we've got the change pose, facial expression, and this is to do with your me. So if you choose your me character, you can choose his facial expression or her facial expression, and then you can choose his or her pose in here. Some of them are quite cool, and like I said, they make your profile stand out a bit more. And of course you can edit your me, which takes you into the me settings itself. Background is just a colour you can choose, and there's a plethora of colours, not too many but not too little. There should be enough for everyone to choose from. Various different shades of blues, greys, yellows, reds, oranges, and even greens. So once we've come out of there, that's pretty much it for the menu here. There's quite a lot of things on the go here, especially when it comes to friend requests. If you search for local users, you can search for a nearby user with a symbol. I think that's if someone's close to you. Like I said, you can search for users you've played with as well. That's a new feature that I haven't seen before, especially on the 3DS. There was never a search for users you've played with. So if we exit out of this, on the bottom we've got the ribbon. Now the newsfeed is quite interesting. It does show you all of the news, which is obvious, hence the name. But in here it also shows you things like what demos you can download. And if you have a game like certain games like Breath of the Wild, the developer actually puts things on here that you can read, and then down at the bottom we actually have a link to play Legend of the Zelda. And in many of these there are actually in-game items that he gives you, and if you click that link to start the game, you'll get those in-game items drop into the game. I think that's a really cool feature. I think more consoles should do that. It's pretty cool. More games should do it as well on this system, because there are plenty of games so far, and if more games utilise that feature to get cool in-game items via the newsfeed, it's a feature that not many people talk about. It's really awesome. You can see that down here when Breath of the Zelda is still popular. These are quite new this year. When I bought Breath of the Zelda, these were all on here, and all of these are different tips from the wild, and it'll tell you a bit about what you can do, and then it tells you, for those who feel like trying out these novel techniques yourself, please accept this in-game GIF of a Hyrule Bass, 2 Hylian shrooms, and a raw bird drumstick. And like I said, you click the link and they just pop into the game. It's really quite a nice little feature. So that's the newsfeed. It's pretty basic, but at the same time it's quite complex in the way it can offer you in-game items. And there's quite a lot on here that's worth checking out every now and then. You will end up with a little blue dot icon like you've seen before if it was on there, if you have new news items. So we've got the eShop. The eShop, I'll show you a little bit of the eShop, because I haven't got any of my credit card details linked or anything like that, so it's not too much of a problem. But basically, this is where it gets a little bit more basic. There's recent releases, which will show you what's released most recently. There's current offers, there's charts, there's of course coming soon, and some of these games you can pre-order, some of them you can't. And then you've got redeem code. It is almost similar to the PlayStation in that respect, where the way it has it all on the left hand side, but I think it does need something like a better look through, because you can't look through old releases. You can search for a release with the search bar, and you can click on recent releases and then click on all, but then you see what I mean. You can't really search oldest to new or newest to oldest, which is, I guess, some of these are newest to oldest. Yeah, there needs to be a few more little extras in here to fine-tune that eShop experience. But for the most part, it runs flawlessly. If you click on a game like Pokemon Quest, which I've recently downloaded, it offers images of what the game looks like, as well as a trailer. And the trailer seems to be in every, if not nearly all games I've looked at so far. There's always a trailer, which makes it nice because you can then actually see what the game's about before you buy it. And then down here you can see it adds downloadable content in the bottom section, much like the PS4 does. So there's some similarities there, and I don't know if it's coincidental or not. So if we exit out the eShop, and some of this, it doesn't take too long to load. Excuse the dog in the background because she is extremely annoying. Yeah, it doesn't take too long to load. It's quite snappy and quite quick. So in the album, you can actually share videos and photos, and you can actually take videos and photos. The videos are limited to 30 seconds long, which is unfortunate, and to do that, if you can see this Joy-Con in the light, there's a button here. If you hold it down, you can record 30 seconds. If you just tap it, you can actually take a screenshot. Works really well, and it saves on the microSD as well. In the controllers here, this is something that I didn't know you could do. You can change the grip order, which I haven't actually done, but you can do. You can change it. I'm going to go back because I really don't want to change it now. I hope I haven't changed it. Right, okay, whatever. Yeah, you can change the grip order. You can search for controllers if you want to pair new controllers, new Joy-Cons. That's all in there as well. And there is an update controller option somewhere too in here. Hopefully we'll come across it. Then you've got settings, and you've got sleep mode, and this is a bit of an annoying thing for me, because I'd rather press that and press power off. For some reason they only have sleep mode, and sleep mode, as you know, puts the console into a sleep state, but doesn't switch it off entirely, so it's still consuming power. To do that you have to actually use the switch on the top of the device and hold it down. They should add it as a soft button in here. So in system settings we've got support, which gives you a little scannable... Boo! Come on, damn dog. Yeah, it gives you a little scannable QR code, and then it links you into the Nintendo website, really. You've got health and safety information, error history, nothing really that you'll take much note of if you're like me. You've got flight mode, which does increase the battery life somewhat, but not hugely. You've got screen brightness now. I always keep mine on full, because if I have it on low I find it really hard to see outside. And in slightly lighter areas, so I always have it on full. You can have automatic brightness on, but for me, yeah, I've never enjoyed automatic brightness. You've got a screen lock here as well, so you can lock the screen, and then when you go back into it, you actually have to tap a button so many times, or you have to, yeah, that's pretty much it. I would show you what I have to do now. So if I push the power button on the top, if I can find it without trashing that kickstand at the back. Do you know what? I'm not going to be able to find it, am I? I'm on the wrong side. That's why. So yeah, if I tap the power button on the top, if I tap it back on, you can see that I just have to press A to continue, and that's pretty much it. But sometimes you have to, if you have that on, you have to click the home button so many times before you unlock it. So I've switched it off. Right, so why didn't it go down any further? That'd be why. I think I switched the analogs around. Yeah, so then below that you've got parental controls, and these settings we'll look into because I haven't actually taken. You can set these with a smart device, or you can set these with a console, and I think yeah, you can just set the restriction level if you have children, so that they don't play games that you don't want them to play. Down here you have your internet connection, which I'm going to have to blank out all of that. Then you have data management, which is basically where your memory is. Now you can see that I've got a 32 gig card in here. The Switch seems to be fussy about memory cards. I'm using a cheapo card in here. It seems to be fussy with certain games on the memory card, but for the most part I've had luck with this cheapo card. I've got a 32 gig card, and also you got 32 gigs of storage. If you click on software, you can see what software is actually installed, and you can see on the right hand side the bar is highlighted to show you where it is. So you can see LA Noire would not install on the microSD card at all. It had to be installed on the system memory, which was a bit of an annoyance because I'd rather it installed on the memory card, but at least I've still got some space on the system memory. And you can see that bar is now flashing blue, hopefully, if the camera's picking it up. Now if I go to Earthlock, for example, it's 3.6 gigabytes, and you can see how much space that's using on the microSD card because it's flashing blue, and it just shows a small section of that. It's the same with the other games. Or is it? It could be the white bit that's... No, it is the blue bit, but for some reason... Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but it tries to roughly estimate which is how much, if you know what I mean. It's trying to show you how much space each thing is using on the SD card and the internal memory. And then we've got saved data, screenshots and videos, and we can delete those and we can manage those here as well. Then over here we've got user. We can skip the selection screen if we want, which I don't do because, well, I should do it because it's only me using the device, but I don't do. It basically means when you boot a game you have to select which account it goes to. We can add a new user here as well. Then we've got the me. We can create and edit in me like we could in the profile settings. It takes you to exactly the same area. It's just in a different spot on the Switch. Then we've got Amiibo. We can register owner and nickname. We can delete game data and reset Amiibo. Now Amiibos on the right Joy-Con, they actually interface with this analog stick here. And I have one Amiibo linked. It was quite easy, quite simple to do. It wasn't hard, but there aren't many games on the Switch that are currently using the Amiibos. Themes, we have only 2 themes and there are no themes on the eShop. Again, this is something that I think should be implemented at some point. Much like the PS4 only had a couple of basic themes when that came out, and look how many it has now. If we change it to white, you can see it gives you a nice white colour. You change it to black, it gives you a nice black colour. I prefer the black colour over the white, but there we go. That's just your personal preference. Hopefully they add more of these down the line. Notifications. We can notify ourselves if stuff is finished downloading, friend notifications if we have any friends, which I don't, and we can do sound notifications as well as normal notifications. There's not really much difference in these. I have these switched on all the time. They don't really bother me. They're not over intrusive, and they do help when you go on and you realise that there's something new in the newsfeed. It'll notify you with a little sound. Sleep mode, I've turned it on never. But you can put these on auto sleep. Again, I don't like sleep. I just want a power off. If they had, for example, instead of a sleep mode, a timer for powering off the device that will completely power off the device, I'd rather choose that over sleep mode, so that's why I have it switched on as never. And you can disable auto sleep while playing media content as well. But as I haven't really figured out how to play much media content, I guess this is something maybe they're going to add down the line. Controllers and sensors, again we've got the change controller grip order, we've got controller vibration. The HD rumble, I've not really been overly impressed. It's powerful, but that's about all I can say about it. You've got Pro controller wired communication, so if you had a Pro controller and you plugged it in wired, you could do that, but again you won't be able to stand it up like I'm standing it up now. And then here's the update controllers part, and if you click on update controllers, you can see all my controllers are updated. When I first bought this they weren't, and it will update the firmware on the controllers, which is super neat. Then you've got the TV output, and I've set this to automatic, but you can manually set it to 480p, which is a bit weird. I don't know why you'd want to set it to that. 720p and Full HD. if you've got a full HD TV. These will be likely the ones to use most because some people still only have HD ready TVs, which is 720p. Me myself, I have a 1080p TV. Downstairs I have a HD ready TV, but I set it to automatic anyway because then it can just choose what resolution it likes. Then you've got the RGB range. Now I've set this to full because my TV upstairs has full RGB range, but many TVs don't, so you'd want to keep this as automatic because otherwise you can mess up the colours. Many TVs, HD TVs in particular, don't have full RGB range. Mine does. It will be in your menu settings somewhere, and it will be called colour. It will be like in the colour settings usually. I could show you if you want to. If you want me to show you what that looks like, let me know down below, but it might be a bit different for each TV. We can adjust the screen size. Again, we'd have to connect to the TV to do that, and it'll just change the borders on the TV much like the PS4 does when you first boot it up. Screen burn-in reduction is on, and that means it'll just dim the screen. It will reduce the screen brightness and dim the screen, so it's less likely to burn into your TV. Now this isn't so much of a problem I found with LED TVs, or even HD TVs in general. It's more of a problem with the plasma technology when they had plasma TVs, so people that have plasma TVs will probably want this turned on. Then we've got the Match TV power state. All this is really, for me, is handshaking. Much like the PS4 has a handshaking setting, you match the TV power state, you do a handshake, and when you plug the device in, it will switch on your TV automatically onto the channel so that you can continue playing straight away. This I have on anyway, but you can switch it off if you don't want it to switch on your TV, because it can be a bit of an annoyance, especially if you just plug it into the dock because you want it to charge, and it automatically switch on your TV without you wanting it to. So you may want to switch that off. And then at the bottom we've got system, where we can do a system update. You can see my version is 5.1.0. This just updates the system much like it does with any other console. You got the console nickname, which you can change. The default is it sets your nickname and then switch. So that will be defaulted to what nickname you put in when you started your profile. So you don't really need to change it unless you want to change it to something completely different. And then we've got language here, which is obviously English for me. Region, which is Europe because I'm in the UK. Date and time, and then we've got the console battery percentage, which you will want to switch on because it's more accurate than the on-screen visual just looking at the battery. So yeah, you can switch that on here. If you click A, you can just toggle it on and off. Then sound, we've got stereo. I found the speakers on the Switch actually to be really impressive, really impressive with the amount of sound that comes out of them and the depth, and even the bass is quite good as well. You can set this though to mono if you are only using a single headset. Say if you've got one of those PS4 ones laying around that you still use, but likely most of us don't. We don't have a mono headset, so you can just keep it on stereo. Down here we've got mute when headphones are disconnected, and we've got lower maximum headphone volume. These I've got on and off, but for me I haven't really found that they do much. I think basically what that means is when the headset is connected it will mute the device. But then it says mute when headphones are disconnected. So I'm not sure, but I just got it on there, and the lower maximum headphone volume will lower the volume to what it thinks you should be listening to it at, so I have that switched off. Very much like AVLS on the PS Vita, on the European version of those, it will limit the volume unless you go in and switch it off. So that's pretty much it. That is the UI in total. The only other thing I haven't gone over is in the bottom left, you've got the Joy-Con battery amount, and it just shows you basically how much battery you've got in the Joy-Cons. You can see that both my batteries are synced. I am player 1. Maybe that's player 1. Yeah, I think that is player 1. But on the Joy-Con itself, when the battery goes down, I'm sure these lights do disappear. If you do want to check these though, you can just go into controllers, and you can see there that the batteries are full and the Switch battery is not full, so you can see that there, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's the Switch UI, guys. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Hopefully I've shown you everything to do with the UI so far. I do hope this gets updated very soon because it is in need of a refresh, and there's certainly more they can add to this to make it much cooler. But for now, the Switch UI is pretty decent. If you've got one, then you'll know what I mean. If you haven't, then I do recommend you pick one up at some point, because it's a pretty cool little device. I shall see you soon.